My name is Dr. Sarah Hercula, and my students usually call me Dr. Hercula, or Dr. Herc, or Dr. H. I started at Missouri S&T in 2016. I moved here from the Detroit, Michigan area to Rolla. So I started my career actually as a secondary education teacher. I started out teaching high school, and I ended up teaching in a really interesting area linguistically. My students were all speakers of a dialect called African American English. I really quickly learned that I wasn't meant to be a high school teacher, but what I also learned is that I love language. I love studying dialects in particular. I love studying people who speak differently, who speak English in different ways across this country and across the world. And so I went back to school and got my master's and PhDs in linguistics and in learning how to talk with people and communicate with people who sound different from you, and learning about the intricacies of dialects that probably sound different from the one that you grew up speaking. So I've had students tell me that my classes are not necessarily easy, but that they've learned a ton in my classes. And so what I think I love about the field of linguistics and what my students end up loving is that it's a really brand new way to look at language from studying, say, literature or writing. And so I think that students connect onto that, and so we end up exploring really interesting topics that they probably haven't encountered before. And so I like to capitalize on that by making learning active in the classroom, by doing different kinds of activities in the classroom to kind of engage with those new topics, and then also making it challenging. I think that college level courses should be challenging and you should learn a lot, and so that's what I tend to focus on while hopefully making it fun as well. So in my classes, I like to make sure that we have a lot of discussion going on. Almost every class that I teach has some kind of discussion, whether it's in small groups or as a large group. I strongly feel that you can't learn something until you talk about it. So reading it is usually the first step, and then talking about how that plays out in our interactions with one another, and how that plays out in other things that we've learned in other approaches to language, for example. So I like to have a lot of discussion. I do usually have exams. I know that that's actually a little bit different for some of my colleagues in the English department, so you can expect things like quizzes and exams, especially since most of my linguistics classes have a lot of new content. But I also do a lot of review and prep for exams, and I think that there's a special arc that my courses follow, where we kind of start out with some of the more fact-based kinds of things, and as we progress through the semester, and this is the case in most of my courses, we kind of get into some more open-ended topics as the semester moves on. And so I think that provides the foundation that you need to start with the content, and then you can move forward into kind of figuring out how that plays out. So I believe that learning is a co-constructed activity. I don't believe that my job is to stand up at the front of the room and to teach. My job is to facilitate learning. And so I think that learning happens best, as I said, in conversation, but learning also happens best in that kind of transactional moment between the teacher and the student. And so I actually learn, I think, just as much as my students learn every semester. Even though I'm the expert in the content, I still am able to think through the topics and the issues that are relevant to my research and to my teaching all over anew every time I teach. And so I really see teaching as a student-led activity as well as a teacher-led activity, and I also see learning as a co-constructed process where everyone is involved and everyone's responsible for their learning and for their growth. So I am best reached by email, and in fact my daily schedule is a little bit different from some people's. I usually start my day a little later in the morning and end my day super late, and so you can email me at any time in the day and I'll usually get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. I'm Dr. Hercula, and I look forward to having you in class.